लक्ष्म्या सह ऋषिकेशः देव्या कारुण्यरूपया रक्षकः सर्वसिद्धान्ते वेदान्तेऽपि च गीयते. Lord Sriman Narayana, along with his consort, Sri Mahalakshmi, sustains all of us. And Mahalakshmi, full of grace, she is instrumental in making Narayana our protector. And this invocatory verse is found in Lakshmi Tantra, where Lakshmi herself reveals her glory to Indra, which forms the last part of Pancharatra and Agama. So let our salutations be to that Sri Mahalakshmi, along with Sriman Narayana, who has given us this treasure of Vedas. The topic for our discussion today is the greatness of Vedas. How are they relevant to the materialistic life today? How is that we can draw something out of the Vedas and put them to use? It gives me immense pleasure to be amongst you today to discuss a rather abstract topic, but still we would try to make it as interesting as possible so that you don't doze. I am told that we have this hall up to 1 p.m. So we will certainly try to keep on this lecture till about 12:30, 12:45 and probably have a question-answer session for about 20-25 minutes. The Vedas, the word stands for knowledge. Vedayati, Vedaha. Vedanam, Upasanam, Jnanam, all these Sanskrit words, they stand for Jnanam. Maybe there are subtle differences between these words. They may give a different meaning. But at a macro level, the meaning is knowledge. Veda, knowledge. So Vedas are relevant today because knowledge has to be relevant to any day. If not, the test of time, Vedas should not have stood. We can't age the Vedas. If at all I want to have knowledge, I go to a source for knowledge. I go to a text which can give me knowledge. There are only 3 sources of knowledge agreed by all the Vedantins, by all the philosophers. The first source is Pratyaksha. Second source is Anumana. Third source is Shabda. Now throughout this lecture, I will be first mentioning everything in the source Sanskrit text. I will say those words. Don't get worried about that. Many of you may be knowing Sanskrit here. If you do not know, I will certainly explain them in English. But unless I mention the source code, as I know, any software professional will not give the source code. But I am here to give you the source code because that is where we start from. So the source is Sanskrit. All these Vedas are made in the language Sanskrit. So it says there are 3 sources of knowledge. Pratyaksha, Anumana, Shabda. Pratyaksha, whatever you are able to see, whatever visually you are able to perceive is Pratyaksha Jnana. I need not have anyone to tell me that this is a microphone. I know. Maybe I did not know when I was in the age of 2. When I was 3, I did not know. But the moment my father or mother made me know there is a microphone, from then on I know. I don't need a textbooks to know that this is a microphone. So this is known as a Chakshusha Jnana, the Pratyaksha, which I get by a connection or a relation established between one Indriya and an object. Indriya is a sense, a sensual organ. This is an object. The organ which I have is my eye. The object is this microphone. If they come in contact, I get to know this is a microphone. This is known as Pratyaksha Jnana. I don't need to infer anything that this is a microphone. I don't need anyone to instruct me this is a microphone. This is Pratyaksha Jnana, Chakshusha Jnana. Pratyaksha Jnana itself has got 5 subdivisions. They are 5 types. First one is the Jnana which you get from seeing. Then you may get a Jnana by hearing. I can't see wind, but I can hear the whistle of a wind. So that is Shravana Jnana. I'm not able to see the wind, but I'm able to hear some sound which is created by the wind. That is Shravana Pratyaksha Jnana. I can see a tomato as well as taste a tomato. So that is a jnana which I get out of my tongue. Suppose there is a similar fruit, similar vegetable like a tomato. My pratyaksha chakshusha jnana will deceive me. If it's just the same in all characteristics, physical characteristics, if both are same, at the sight of it, I would say both are tomatoes. But how do I come to a proper decision? When I taste it, I get to know it's not a tomato. So if you have a pratyaksha chakshusha jnana, it can be changed. You can be more accurate if you use one of your other sensual organs. So all the 5 indriyas, the organs of senses, they help you in getting pratyaksha jnana. So this is the first source of knowledge and almost the best as we know of. What more can beat it? I see, I am able to believe. I hear, I believe. I touch, I believe. I smell, I believe. I taste, I believe. So these are the 5 sources of pratyaksha jnana. And the next category is inference, which is anumana. I am not able to see anything directly, but I deduce, I infer that this must be true. The example is Parvataha Vanhiman Dhumad. Parvataha, the mountain, Vanhiman, must have fire in itself. Reason being, I am able to see smoke from a distance. Since I see smoke, I infer, my anumana is, there must be fire inside. I am not able to see sight the fire now. I have not seen. Whereas I infer, there must be fire inside. But there is a prerequisite for this inference. The only prerequisite is, I must have seen fire and smoke together somewhere else. Only then I will be able to infer. Suppose I have not seen fire and smoke together anywhere, then I cannot infer that smoke, since I see smoke, there is fire inside. So inference presupposes something. It requires something else happening prior to it, which is known as sahacharyam. Sahachara, sahacharyam. Sahacharyam, that it had been related earlier. Fire and smoke must have been seen by me. Where do I see? Say a kitchen. I have seen fire and smoke together in my kitchen. Now I am able to see only smoke. I infer that there is fire. So this is known as inference, anumana jnana. The last source of knowledge is shabda, the words, which is what our topic for discussion today, Veda. So Veda is the third source of knowledge. First source is pratyaksha, second is anumana, third is Veda. One might come up with a doubt. I can certainly believe on what I see. How is that I believe on some words where I don't even know who has written the text? No one has named the author of our Vedas till today. So how do I believe on some collection of words, collection of phrases, and how do I take it as source of knowledge? That is point number 1. 2, and we can't age these Vedas. I don't know when they were born. In which case, how are they relevant to today? If I see this microphone, it's relevant today. If I hear something, it's today. If I touch something, it's today. Whereas Vedas are not today. They are age old. Inference is also today. Anumana jnana is also, when I see something today, I infer today. Whatever is a source of knowledge existing now, I can believe in it. How can I believe in a source of knowledge which is not of today, which bears no context for today? How do I believe in it? So the problem with Vedas, with Shabda is, first, out of the 3 sources of knowledge, is it the strongest? 2, how do I believe in it when compared with Pratyaksha and Anumana? These 2 are the main questions which we will have to answer before we start talking about Vedas. Now let me tell you, Pratyaksha can be negated. Anumana can be negated, whereas Shabda cannot be negated. I'll tell you instances where the Pratyaksha jnana itself will deceive you. I'll give you an instance where Anumana will deceive you. Both are possible in this world. You see a lamp, it's lit. You are able to see fire. I am not talking about these electric bulbs. I am talking about the old lamps which we light in our house, where you have a small thread in it, and you light it with a matchstick, you are able to see a jwala, the fire coming out of it. Now, that fire, when I look at it, is it the same fire burning for 1 hour, or is it a different fire burning in different seconds and moments? First moment, say we started at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. I lit a lamp. At 11 there is a lamp now. 11 a.m. I saw the jwala of fire. 11:05, is it the same jwala? 11:10, is it the same jwala? 12 o'clock, is it the same jwala? As per pratyaksha knowledge, it's the same. There is no change at all. It is the same fire which is burning. But unfortunately, through anumana, this pratyaksha will get negated. You can deny that. The reason is, if it's the same jwala of fire, then the thread should not go on receding. The amount, the quantity of oil there should not go on decreasing. Why are they two decreasing now? The oil decreases there, and it is not the same thread. It's not the same thread there that goes on changing. Since I am able to prove that the oil decreases in quantity, and the place where the fire is burning, the thread, that goes on changing, it is not the same fire. Can I infer that or not now? If it should be the same fire, then it should be burning at the same place. No oil should have changed. Quantity should have remained the same. So here is a pratyaksha jnana which tells me it's the same fire. Whereas I have an anumana jnana through which I can deny the pratyaksha jnana that it is not the same fire. Then why is it looking same? Because it's being passed on to the next part so subtly that you are not able to feel the difference, but still the fire is different. So when I see the fire, it looks to me the same, whereas by anumana, I can prove it is not the same fire, since it is burning using a different oil. It's burning using different part of a thread. Since it's all changing, it's changed fire, different fire. So here is an anumana which negates pratyaksha. I'll give you another instance, where anumana can be negated by pratyaksha. This anumana is important. Anumanam will always have a major premise, a minor premise, and a conclusion. In logic, you must always have 3 statements: a major premise, a minor premise, and a conclusion. First sentence is a major premise. Whoever came here are residents of Austin. Residents of Austin have a love. They want to hear Bhagavad Vishayam. Major premises, people around this place are residents of Austin. Minor premises, residents of Austin are all bhaktas. Then what would be my conclusion then? All the people who come to hear Bhagavad Vishayam are bhaktas. Can I say that or not? So one is a major premise, second is a minor premise. Then I deduce, using these two, I come to a conclusion. So this is the essence of anumana. There must be some first statement, second statement. Using those, you must be able to infer something. So in any inference in anumana, major premise, minor premise, and an inference. Finally, I'll give you one example of an anumana which is totally wrong. It contradicts reality. The anumana is Gaganaravindam Surabhi Jalaravindavat Aravindatvat. This is anumana now. Gaganaravindam Surabhi, a lotus in the sky. It's hanging in the sky, it seems. There is nothing, there is no lotus in the sky. But someone is trying to make this statement now. My first statement is Gaganaravindam Surabhi. There is a beautiful smell, fragrance, which is just emitting out of a lotus hanging in the sky. This is the first statement. Second statement is, because lotuses have fragrance as a lotus on earth. This is the second statement now. He made the first statement, I find a lotus in the sky, it's full of fragrance. I asked him how. Because a lotus on earth has got fragrance, so I can conclude that any lotus should have fragrance. A lotus hanging in the sky must also have fragrance. What is wrong in this inference now? There's nothing wrong. Major premise is fine. Minor premise is right. The conclusion is also right. There is absolutely no mistake, grammatical mistake which you can find here. No logical mistake which you can find here. Unfortunately, it is against reality. Because I don't find a lotus hanging in the sky. So pratyaksha can negate anumana. Anumana can be negated by pratyaksha. But the third source of knowledge, which is the Vedas, which is the Shabda, cannot be negated by pratyaksha, cannot be negated by Anumana too. That's the reason Vedas, the Shabda, are held at the highest esteem out of the three sources of knowledge. Anumana can be denied, pratyaksha can be denied, but Shabdam can never be denied. Shabdam is the one, they have been composed by our well-wishers. Now we call Vedas themselves as Apaurusheya Nitya. Apaurusheya, it's impersonal. No one uttered it with their mouth. It's impersonal. No one is an author for this Veda. What's great? If there is no author, is it something good there? Yes, it is. The reason is, if I author a text, then all the problems attached to me would get attached to my work also. I am a writer. There are so many writers today, and they write in disguise also. I have seen many writers taking a pseudo name. They won't write in their name. Their name, if you know, you go through their life, almost their life history, instances which happened, events which happened in their life would certainly fare in the story which they write. They will have a say. They will be influenced by what it happened in their life. So if at all I am an author, then certainly I will influence my work. So if I am going to be taught, if I am going to be guided by a text which has been influenced by a human being, then maybe it doesn't suit me. It's not relevant to my life. To his life, it would have been relevant. To my life, it might not be relevant. So if there is an author, then the problems attached to him would certainly influence his text. Whereas, if I don't find an author at all, it is Apaurusheya. It is just Bhagavan himself who made all these Vedas, who is impartial, who is unbiased, and he is not going to influence the happenings of his life into this story now, because he has got no events in his life. If he has something, he can influence. If at all he has got, they have been only good events. There had been no bad events in Bhagavan's life. So they are going to influence these Vedas. So Apaurusheyatva is the important aspect in Veda. They have not been made by anyone, not authored by anyone. They are on their own. Vedas are Anadi. There is no time limit prescribed. There is no age specified for Vedas, the first greatness. So you don't find any vested interest. If I am going to talk, I am being restricted. I am finite in three senses: in place, in time, and material. The material which I have, the input, the teachings which I had from my preceptor, that much only I can talk. I can't talk more than what I know. The second problem is, I am restricted by time. It's 12:30 or 1 p.m. I can't go more than that. Third, I am restricted by place. I can talk to you. I am able to see the last person there. I am not able to see the person who is sitting in Houston now. I am not able to see the person sitting in Dallas now. I can see maybe for half a kilometer. And if I see for half a kilometer and talk, they are not going to hear after half a kilometer. So I am restricted by time, by place, and by material. Whereas Vedas are not finite by place. They are not restricted by time. They are not restricted by material. They have abundance of knowledge, not restricted by material. And they have no time at all. Anadi. So there is no problem of time too. Lastly, they are not restricted by place, because if they talk about the omnipresent Bhagavan, who is not restricted by space. So the Apaurusheyatva concept of Vedas are so important that only makes them to treat them as the truest source of knowledge. Rather than Pratyaksha, Anumana, it takes precedence because it's Apaurusheya. The second thing is Nitya, Anadi. There is no birth or death to Vedas. These Vedas are for, some say it is 7,000 years old, some say Rig Veda is the oldest, some say Samaveda is the oldest, some say since Rama himself knew about the Vedas. Rama's period is quite interesting to note. One Chaturyuga, Krita, Treta, Dwapara, Kali. These four comprise a Chaturyuga. This Chaturyuga, the total span is 43,20,000 years in our account. It's 43,20,000 years for one Chaturyuga. And they are divided in this proportion, in this ratio. 4:3:2:1. Krita Yuga is 4 times. Treta Yuga is 3 times. Dwapara Yuga is 2 times. And once is this Kali Yuga. So you divide it by 10 is Kali Yuga, which is 4,32,000. 8,64,000 is Dwapara Yuga, into 3 Treta Yuga, into 4 is Krita Yuga. So Krita, Treta, Dwapara, Kali, all 4 together, the span is 43,20,000 years. And this 43,20,000, now we would all be inquisitive to know how many years have passed in Kali Yuga now. Let me at least know that. I am in Kali Yuga. I am not worried about Dwapara Yuga or Treta Yuga. I am in Kali Yuga now. How many more years? Am I going to see the end of Kali Yuga? Don't worry at all. We are not fortunate enough. Rather, it's not unfortunate that we are not going to see that. We won't see that. It's only 5,100 years since the birth of Kali Yuga now. There are 4,27,000 more years left for this Kali Yuga to come to an end. Certainly we won't be saying. Maybe great-grandchildren may be saying that. Let's not worry too much about them. So it is 43,20,000 years for one Chaturyuga. It doesn't stop there. And 1,000 Chaturyugas similar to that. 43,20,000 is our Chaturyuga. 1,000 Chaturyugas like that form a day time for Brahma. Brahma's one day, morning 6 to evening 6, is 43,30,000 into 1,000, which is almost about, in our sense, 4.32 billion years. So 4.32 billion years is the day time of Brahma. We do Sankalpam. Whenever we do Amavasya Tarpanam or Masa Pravesha Tarpanam, Bhagavad Ajna, Bhagavad Kainkya Rupam, what do we see there? Jambudvipe, Bharatavarshe, Bharatakande, Shakabde, Meroho, Dakshine Parshve, Asmin Vartamane, Vyavaharike, Prabhavadi Shatti Samvatsaranam Madhye, and all these refer to the time and place where I am now. And the time where I am is Ashtavimshati Tame, Dvitiya Parardhe, Ashtavimshati Tame, Vaivaswata Manvantare, Shvetavaraha Kalpe. So what does the Shvetavaraha Kalpa stand for? What is this Vaivaswata Manvantaram stand for? Why am I talking about Ashtavimshati, 28th, Ashtavimshati Tame, Dvitiya Parardhe? We are in the second half of the lifespan of Brahma. Brahma has 100 years of life. We are in the second half, almost nearing his Shatyabda Purti. Maybe you can assume that. I don't know which is the day, don't ask me, I don't know. So we are nearing his Shatyabda Purti day. After the first 50, we are in the second 50 of Brahma, Dvitiya Parardhe. Vaivaswata Manvantare, it seems 14 Manus pass by within one day time of Brahma. Within one Brahma's day, one day of Brahma, you find 14 Manus. Vaivaswata Manu, Raivata Manu, Chakshusha Manu. There are many Manus. And all these Manus, they get ended before the dusk of Brahma. So at evening 6 p.m., 14 Manus would have been destroyed. They would have been killed. So Vaivaswata Manvantare, we are now running the Vaivaswata Manu. Out of the 14 Manus, we are in one Manu now, Vaivaswata Manvantare. Then within them, what does this Ashtavimshati Tame stand for? It is the 28th Chaturyuga we are running. I told you 1,000 Chaturyugas, which comprise a day of Brahma. We are in the 28th Chaturyuga in Vaivaswata Manu. It's not 0 to 28. In Vaivaswata Manu, it's 1 to 28 now. Vaivaswata Manvantare, Ashtavimshati Tame. In that 28th Chaturyuga, we are in the last Yuga, Kali Yuga, and there, Prabhavadi Shatti Samvatsaranam Madhye, you have to start the count from Prabhava, Vibhava, 60 years. In that, I am in Chitrabhanu Varsha. This is how we perform our Sankalpam. When this Brahma's day is of 1,000 Chaturyugams, we have to go through the whole lifespan of Brahma, many Brahmas like him, and all these Brahmas have been preached these Vedas by none other than Sriman Narayana himself. Yo Brahmanam Vidadadi Purvam, Yo Vai Vedam Cha Prahinoti Tasmai, Tamgadevam Atmabuddhi Prakasham, Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prabadye. Yo Brahmanam Vidadadi Purvam, one who created this Brahma at the first instance and gave all the Vedas to him. So Bhagavan he preached the Vedas to Brahma, and unless he keeps on chanting, repeating the Vedas, Brahma cannot go ahead with the job of creation. He needs some text to refer, to create always. We want to perform Punyahavacanam. Maybe you got a son. You want to perform the 10th day or the 11th day Punyahavacanam, naming ceremony, or maybe Upanyasam. You call for a priest. He comes. He keeps on chanting some mantra with this mouth. If at all it stops, then he can't perform any ritual after that. That has to go on. Only then he can continue with these rituals. If that stops, he will have to start from where he left. Now we would have seen children. They used to take by heart all the poems. If they get stuck somewhere, they will start from the beginning. Only then they can get to the place. So if you by heart something, you forget it. You can't go ahead with your ritual. So even a priest, what he would do is, he has got two parts. One, he will instruct us through the mantra, do this, do that, prananayamya. That means you have to perform a pranayamam. Achamya. That means you have to perform an achamanam. Whereas the problem today is, since we don't know Sanskrit, we are unable to differentiate between his guiding statements, his instructions, and the mantra per se. Mantra is different. His instruction is different. Achamya, and this karta repeats achamya. When he says prananayamya, this karta repeats prananayamya. When he says prananayamya, he is not supposed to repeat. He is supposed to perform pranayamam. Whereas when he says achamanam, I have to perform achamanam. We are so naive now, ignorant, unable to differentiate between the direction and the actual karma. So this Upadhyaya priest, he has to keep on chanting to do his ritual. If that stops, he can't continue with the ritual. And Brahma is the best priest whom we have seen. Brahma is also to chant. Unless he keeps on chanting the Veda mantra, he cannot go ahead with his ritual, which is creation, which is Srishti. He can continue with Srishti only when he keeps on chanting these Veda mantras.